face it. It's like a giant, and I wonder if I make it. Oh, Jesus, help me with my faith queen. I really must admit, Goliath, have me shaking. Jesus is son. Remember who I am. Consider what I've done.
What's up, y'all? What's going on? Let's get it.
Run, don't you forget who got
Yeah.
What up, fam?
What up? Good. Yeah. What's up? How y'all living?
We feeling good. How you feeling?
We solid over in the Douglas household. We solid.
Yo. So I know y'all last night y'all was asking who was the music playing. Hey, I gotta add his name real quick. My man,
Reese, what's up, bro?
oh, I can't remember his name on here. I gotta add him.
Reese, we gotta hit the streets again, man.
All right, well, y'all, look, let's get into it.
Oh,
this is night 2. Sesconwaited Wild presents Clueless Honeymoon Conference. Let's get it.
Let's go.
Woo! Yo, I do this all the time.
Hey, Brandy, stall him out. I always wanted to clap off. I ain't gonna lie.
I know, yeah. That's somebody comment. They say, "Yo, that clap off."
I always wanted one of
I just be so hyped.
It's literally 3 claps to turn it off, and he do it every time. Like if he was clapping,
I always wanted one of them. Where you get that jump from?
My nephew, he's like a gadget genius. So whatever he upgrade into, he give me the generic stuff, and I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. Listen. Yeah. I see somebody said B&E in the house. What's up?
Hey.
What's up?
Okay. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Yo, we ready.
All right. So Clueless Honeymoon Conference Part 2. I'm Jeremiah Chase. Sescon, wait a while.
I'm Brandy Chase. Still getting used to the flow, but y'all know who I am.
Right. All right, y'all. We got this beautiful couple, Ryan and Joann Douglas. Last night we dealt with 2 virgins before they got married. Tonight is a different kind of weight.
Yeah.
Tonight's a different kind of weight. Before we get into it, if you guys can just introduce yourselves, introduce yourselves, and just tell everybody what you guys do.
All right. Well, my name is Ryan. Doann Douglas Jr. is it. You know. And this is my lovely wife. Yeah.
Joann Douglas.
What's that name, bro?
Douglas.
Let the saints know. Hi, DDS.
Mrs. Douglas.
That's it.
I mean,
That's it.
We servants of the Lord Jesus.
Okay, I bet. You know what I mean? Look. You got your phone?
Yeah.
All right, so look. Oh yeah, no. We look. Yo, we just so hyped because tonight about to be crazy.
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready. Let's do it.
So look,
I'm ready. I'm pumped up.
Because it's so much for us to tackle tonight. So look,
yeah, Brandy, he be excited. He be like, yo, it's so much for us to
I know, right?
Yo, he be like 3D, like we only working with so much space, like dang.
Yeah, that's all right. So look. That's all right.
Brandy, I love
all right. So look, I just want to start off today. So I know yesterday we dealt with virgins. So so Ryan and Joann, they weren't virgins before they got married, but they still waited. So the first question is, how did you guys meet?
How do we meet? I'm trying to figure out how to tell the story. Okay, so we met at our church. Shout out to Bethel Deliverance Church Northeast. I might be a little biased, but I think that's the best church this side of heaven. But, I'm a little biased. Honoring my pastor, my first lady, Pastor Tim Baldwin, and Lady Shantae Baldwin. Love you guys. And their example, because they courted and they waited to have sex before they were married. So their example inspired us to try to do this the right way.
And we met, like he said, we met at Bethel Northeast. Ryan originally lived in California and came out here in 2012 to go to school to Penn State. So we met each other in 2012. At the time, we wasn't in our building that we are in now. We were actually in the school.
Yeah.
And we kind of like saw each other like, hey, how you doing? But nothing really outside of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the same group of friends that we would hang out from time to time. But outside of that, we didn't really.
No, there is an outside of that. There is. The outside of that was when we first met. She was Joann, I was around. We didn't like each other or nothing like that. But we was both in college at the same time. It's funny. We started college at the same time. We finished college at the same time. Went to the same school. We graduated college the same day. And we both had calculus at the same time. And I was taking it and I was doing well. And Joann was like, hey, I want some help with some things. I'm like, all right, cool. So she actually came to my college. This was years ago. We didn't like each other, nothing. She came to my college. We were talking. We was doing our thing. So we're walking home. I'm going my way. She's taking her bus or whatever, right? And I don't know how we got on the subject. Matter of fact, I think at the time I was talking to like somebody that she knew. And I was like, yeah, we about to go out such and such. And she was like, oh my God, my perfect date night is just sitting in the crib and just chilling, not going out, not doing nothing, da-da-da-da-da. And I remember saying to myself at the time, like, yo, I would never be with this girl. Yo, that's so boring. Like, why would I ever do that? That's what I said to myself in 2012. And God was probably just laughing because that's really what I said. And now I done married.
So, all right. So, like, now let's get into the nitty gritty because y'all playing. Y'all know what I want to.
I know.
How that thing start?
Yeah.
How y'all get married?
So, which is crazy. They're really like. Our pastor in 2019 called Bethel Northeast to do a fast in September, right? So, we all fasting. We all trying to be on one accord or whatever the case may be. And I think maybe a week or two into the fast, I was actually, one of my girlfriends, I was talking to her. I think I was going to the Burlington. Sidebar, I love that store, by the way. You can find anything, cheap prices, really good place. I love it. But anyway, went to Burlington trying to get me a little outfit for Sunday, trying to look good. So I was talking to my girlfriend, I said, when I was in prayer the day before, spending time with the Lord, I feel like the Lord is about to send my husband. Now, prior to me feeling that, I was in a relationship with someone. But I called like a break, I feel like that wasn't what the Lord had for me. So I was already fasting and praying before September actually hit. So it was just like, perfect timing. So when my pastor said we're going fast into September, I was just like, I might as well just continue, not stop in August and then have to pick back up. I might as well just continue, me fasting, praying and making sure. No, you good. Making sure. Making sure I'm fasting and praying and I'm talking to the Lord. So I believe that at that time the Lord was speaking to me like, hey, I'm about to send your husband. Cool. After that, Ryan texts me and he says to me, Joann, what was you texting me about?
We was talking and I called her Miss Butler. And
oh yeah, he called me Mrs. Butler, right? And then he won't go tell his part, right? He called me Mrs. Butler and I'm like, yeah, my name about to change soon. And he was like, why? Did God tell you something? And I was just like, yeah, I feel like during the fast, he told me that he's about to send my husband. So he was like, all right. So he was like, I know who my wife is. So me, all clueless. It's funny that this is Clueless Honeymoon, but all clueless. I'm like, listen, I don't know. Like, I was like, who your wife? Like, who is she? Not even thinking it's me. No idea. Who's your wife? Well, I don't want to, say it just now or whatever case it may be. So we're talking about other things. Long story short, he eventually says, my prayer was that God will reveal it to her during the fast. When I'm telling you, I dropped my phone, I'm like, oh my God, it's him. I said, it's him. I know it's him. So now I call you got to call your girlfriend. Cootie cool. Hello, friend? Yeah, I know who he is. Who is it? It's Ryan. She like, Ryan. I said, yeah, Ryan from B&E.
The man of
The
God.
man of God. It's him. So I'm like, it's him. So it was so funny because he feel like he.
So that's her story. Yeah, I said. Now let me show you what the master was really doing. Yes, said. So here's what happened, right? So in the beginning of the year, this is 2019. In February of 2019, you know, I show up to church on Sunday, cooling, like I am. You know what I'm saying? No big deal. And you know, I serve God. That's why I serve the Lord. So I serve God. I'm standing in the doors of the house of the master, standing in the doors of the temple, and I'm chilling. But the night before I prayed, I was like, yo, Lord, like, you know, I really want you to like send my wife. Like, I really want to be ready. Like, I've been on this journey, being celibate and trying to do the right thing, and we'll get into that. And I was like, you know, I feel like, you know, it's time. Like, I really want, you know, to meet her. So next day, I'm standing at church, and I've been to Bethel Northeast a million times. I've been in the double doors. I'm just standing there. It's before service. And Joann walks up, and I'm just looking. There ain't nothing special going on. And God says to me, that's your wife. Now, I had always prayed to the Lord for years. I had always prayed for years. I said, Lord, I know that sometimes I overthink things. I know that sometimes I battle confusion. So I said, I don't want to do that when it's time to get married. I don't want to do that. And I said, you know your son. I said, for me, I need you to tell me specifically, Ryan, this is your wife. I need you to say it specifically. I have prayed that prayer my entire life. And or as long as I can remember. So I'm standing at church, and she is walking to the door, and he says, as clear as day, he said, that's your wife. And I was like, yo. And he said it so much so that I didn't have to ask. I can't explain it to you guys, but I had so much confidence that, oh, this is it. Like, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to do nothing. Because I know, I mean, God spoke once and twice have I heard this. I'm telling you, I knew for a fact that it was her. So I said, okay. So she's walking up to me, you know, she being Joe, like she is, literally.
I'm Joe.
And she walked by, and I didn't say anything to her. All right. So I held off, and I was like, okay, I didn't say anything to anybody at first because I'm like, I know I'm right. Mind you, this is February. And now I know her from church. We have some similar friends. I know she's in a relationship, which she had been in for some years. And so I didn't say anything because I didn't have to, because I knew what he said. So I was like, all right, well, that's not going to last because at the end of the day, I know what God told me. So I ain't have to like try to throw game or try to throw try to weasel my way in there. I never said nothing to her. I did have an informant though. I did have my friend, and my friend knows you know who you are. I told one of my good friends, I said, yo, I know who my wife is. The first person I told. My friend, she was like, well, who is it? And I was like, Joann. She was like, oh my God, that is so perfect. I was like, right, but they're in a relationship. And I was like, I can't explain it to you, but I know it's not gonna last because God said that's my wife. And everybody say that's, you know, everybody, like a lot of people say, oh, well, everybody says this when their wife and God told them and God told them. And I was like, but Lord, I know you really told me. So I wasn't concerned about it. And I didn't do anything with it. I was like, all right, it's going to happen. So a couple months later, the informant, see, my informant came.
Let me tell you, wait. The funny thing about the informant is that I never forget. So on my way to I Celibate group, I was getting there. Uber was messed up. It was just a big mess trying to get there that day. But I'm like, Lord, I don't care what happened. I'm going to I Celibate. Like, I'm going there. So once I get out of the car, who's standing outside the door, opening up the church? Ryan.
I told you I serve God.
So I get out.
So
he's like, are you okay? And I'm just like, I'm just frustrated. You know, the Uber, I'm getting here late. I don't like being late. So I'm like, oh, I'm here late, whatever case may be. I go in there. The informant is sitting in there, right? But because she knows Ryan, I'm telling her, I'm like, guess what? I said, he ain't it. She like, now this is the funny thing that we always think about it. She said me like, he not it. The whole time she knew he done told her that I'm his wife. But I'm talking about the individual she was with. I'm like, he not it. Okay. I said, I'm not, like, it's over. Like, I'm not going to do it. She's like, and I'm just believing God. At this point, he's going to send my husband. Like, mind you, this is like June. This is before the fast or anything. So I don't even know, not thinking about Ryan. God hasn't spoke to me, say he's going to send my husband, nothing. But she had already knew because he knew in February. So she's just like looking at me, mind you, not even giving me any, like, you know how somebody look at you like, yeah, and give you like this smirk or something like you don't know, like straight face. Like, okay, you know, God, you keep believing God. Like, God gonna save your husband. I'm like,
Yeah, and that's it. And I know I like Jeremiah, we just saying, we go straight to it. So for everybody watching, if you're on the other side of marriage, you don't have to have game. You just have to have God. Because for me, I ain't have to say nothing to her. I ain't have to be slick. I ain't have to dress up. When I tell you I was so confident in what God told me, and you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. I heard his voice and she got a ring on her finger. So for me, like, you really don't have to have no kind of game. I just really, I heard what he said, and I was obedient to the man of God in my life, because I went to my pastor, because me and my pastor prayed together, and I you know, that's my spiritual father. So I'm talking to him, and I was like, yo, pastor, I was like, I know who it is. He was like, what you mean? I was like, I know who my wife is. Now, in the past, I had told him people that I was interested in and that I wanted to be with. And my past, that, you know, he's really my spiritual father. So he'd be like, son, that ain't, no, that's not it. And I'd be like, well, how you know? And good parents, they really do know. He's like, that's not, he will always say the same thing. He said, she's a nice girl, but that's not your wife. And I'd be like, dang, pastor. And if anybody know my pastor, that's how he do. He'd be like, that's good, but that's not what God is saying. That's how he said it. Right? So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I told him this time, I said, yo, pastor, I said, y'all know who it is. And he said, who's your wife? I said, Joann. And he said, huh, okay. He didn't say no. He said, huh, okay. He said, well, we'll pray. I said, pastor. He said, we'll pray and we'll see what happens. I said, you'll see. I know what's going to happen. That's what I told him. And I mean, he told me, I was obedient because I told him. And the first thing he said was, don't say anything to her. I'm like, what you mean, don't say anything? Like, that's my wife, God said. But I was obedient to the man of God in my life. And he said, don't say anything to her. It's not the time yet. Now, I don't know why he's saying that. All I know is my pastor said it's not time yet. So I'm like, well, I listen to you every Sunday about how to live my life. So I'm a rock with you on this one. You said it's not time yet?
Yeah.
Wait.
which is crazy because I've been a part of Bethel Northeast, but Pastor Tim used to be a youth pastor at home church. So I was already going there when he was over teen ministry. So for me, he's like my pastor, but he's also like a father figure to me as well. So I was already going to him and telling him, like, you know, about people I was talking to or whatever. I felt like, well, like, again, like he said, like, you think this person is the one or whatnot. So I was telling him, like, I was breaking up with this person. Like, I didn't want to be with this person. But again, for me, I wanted to go through the necessary healing process. You never want to just jump into something. So I feel like I was telling him that, and he knew that knowledge. So when Ryan came to him and told him, you know, I believe this is my wife, he was already telling him, like, it's not time yet, because he was allowing me to go through my healing process, and he was using wisdom on both ends. Even though at that time, I didn't know Ryan was going to come, and Ryan didn't even know, like, I was breaking up with the person that I was in a relationship with. So it was just like God's perfect timing. And right, like he said, he didn't have to use no game. In my opinion, Ryan was from California and he was corny. I'm like, no Philly swag, no little, like, the drip. I was like, Lord God, help me. Size coming up here. He got with Chuck Taylor's, like, before Chuck started being cool.
Before Chuck started being cool. So for me,
like, Lord God,
she wanted ex-Muslim from North Philly with a Sunni, dark skin, and a criminal record and a PhD. That's what she wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Walking to church with the butters.
Yeah, with the butters. Yeah, with a fresh pair of that. But anyways, so I'm gonna jump out because I know we said a lot, but my pastor, he had the wisdom. And if you have a solid man of God in your life that you listen to, that, you know, tells you everything else about your life, if they give you wisdom for what you should do and how you should move when it comes to navigating a courtship, because we don't do dating, you should listen to them. Because, I mean, their only benefit is to see you blessed, you know?
And when I'm telling you, like, blessed, again, me and Ryan, you know, in marriage, you make an adjustment, living with somebody, sharing space. You know, he comes in with his context, I come in with my context. But when I'm telling you blessed, like, I literally be like, Lord, you really blessed me with an excellent husband. Like, and this is only, like, we only been married for like 3 months and a couple days. Like, but I'm just still like, Lord, like, you have really blessed me because he honors you. He honors our leader at our church. He's always looking for ways to, like, bless me. He did a period. Always looking for ways to bless me. But, like, he really, like, I just love, like, his love for the Lord and how he always Like he has vision. Like I think for me, like that's important because again, you know, people always, and they was kind of talking about it yesterday about submitting. Submitting is easy if a person that you're marrying has vision and is able to lead the home. If you have a good leader, you're gonna submit. Like it's not no thing where you're gonna be like, oh no, I want to submit. On our honeymoon, no lie, on our honeymoon, he was literally sitting before the Lord, reading his word, and spoke and told me. I woke up, I saw him, you know, sitting on the couch, and he had his laptop and he had his Bible open, and he was like, God gave us vision for our home. Like what? Like that be the type of stuff you just be like, oh, like yeah, God, I married up. Like if you gonna marry up. Like, and I literally was like, who does that? Like, you know, people wait, you know, pray or whatever after they get back because they were having fun, and there's no harm, no foul. But I'm just saying, for me, that did something for me because it was like, even on our honeymoon, you not stop spending time with God. You not on the God. We on the honeymoon. I get a break. No, I'm still going to do my regular devotion to the Lord. I'm still going to spend time with Him, and I'm definitely going to ask Him now that I'm married to you. What's the vision and the direction He wants to go for our home?
Yeah, and just 5 seconds, I'm gonna let y'all go. I know we said a lot. The first thing you did when we were on our honeymoon, the very first thing you did, I don't know if you remember, as soon as we sat down, we had a waitress come and serve us. By the time the conversation was over, she was in tears. We telling her our testimony, we praying for her. So again, when you marry the right person, you don't gotta like put God on pause when you marry somebody. If you gotta put God on pause for the person that you married, it ain't the one. But all right, go ahead, bro.
Oh my gosh.
One question I did want to ask: when God told you two at the separate times of revealing who you were gonna marry, was it like, all right, for Joann, like when you found out it was Ryan, was it like Ryan or Ryan? Or like for Ryan, was it like when you found out?
I was just
Like,
like,
yeah, were y'all excited or?
like, because it's like for me, and it's so funny because I believe when you want to do it God's way, you gotta know that God's way is better than your way and what you think you want, because God knows what's best for you. So one of the things I was thinking in my mind is like, you know how God says, like, I'll give you your heart's desire. One of the things that my pastor like breaks down when he breaks down the word is that God will give you what your heart should desire. So not only did God give me what my heart desired, He gave me what it should desire, and it was Ryan. So for me, I feel like God in His wisdom pushed past what I thought I wanted. Like he said, you want somebody hood, you want somebody that love God, you want somebody with all these different types of outward appearances, things that I thought that I wanted. So when I looked at Ryan, I'm like, Ryan is, again, he's not from Philly. I feel like he ain't had swag. He ain't had that look. You know, Philly got that little I was like, he ain't got like, he's so corny. So at first I'm like, no, but I'm no lie. When we started like talking as just being friends, I was like, I really like him.
That's because she didn't know I had the oil. You know what I'm saying? That's right. So no, but I will comment on that and say, and I did want to say this, is that God probably not going to give you the person of your dreams. He's going to give you the person that He dreamed for you, because the person of your dreams might not be real. You know what I mean? Like, that might not be a real thing, because I thought about it, and I was thinking about this the other day. Her and I being together, we're not everything we dreamed of. Everything you dreamed of is a perfect person, and nobody's perfect. So when you have like this idea of the person of your dreams, that really might let you down, because it's stuff that she probably wants me to do that I'm never going to do because I'm not that. And it's vice versa. So the same way when the Lord told me, at first I was like, no, like, because how she said she wanted like the Philly boy, I was like, no, like, I ain't got no shame. I wanted to save Meg the Stallion. That's what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? I wanted somebody that could pray on Megan's knees. That's what I wanted. So for me, I was like, yeah. So that's what I wanted. And that person didn't exist or that person wasn't the person that God had for me. Now, granted, the person that God had for me, this is what I needed. But I just wanted to say, like, God may not give you the person of your dreams, but He will give you the person. You know what I mean? And I just think, don't create an unrealistic expectation. Like, you may not marry somebody that can cook, clean, build a house, fix cars, and all that. You might just marry somebody who's smart enough to be able to hire people to do all that, and you still rock. You know what I mean? So don't be like so dead set on like I gotta have a person in my dreams. That person probably doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
They'll
crazy
look.
because
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, this
I
about
said
y'all.
it's crazy. I love it.
This y'all don't. We ain't trying. This y'all.
No, go ahead. Y'all got it.
They
Y'all got it.
already heard about us. Like, this is about y'all.
It's crazy because how he said like God will probably provide someone who maybe has the resources to get the things done that you necessarily wanted. But people always talk about the way that Ryan looks at me and how he adores me and how he loves me. And it's so crazy because one of my biggest things that I used to always ask the Lord for was God, I don't want somebody to love me for me. Not that somebody that's not going to challenge me to grow or to be better. Because again, you got things that you always going to have to grow up and into. Like, you know what I mean? But I want somebody to genuinely love me for who I am. And I feel like he does that. Like, he really loves me for who I am. And it's so crazy. And it's like opening the doors. And people think, oh, that's corny. Or that's he's going to eventually stop doing it. No. When I open the door, if I be like, oh, yeah, let me tie my ship. Oh, tie my ship. Or you say you want something? All right, I'm going to go right on and go get it. And I be thinking to myself, like, babe, you don't have to do. But this is not something that he's doing because, like, he's just trying to prove. This is really who he is. Like, if you're friends with Ryan and he tells you, I'm going to support you, best believe he's going to show up. Yeah. Like, and my pastor tells to me all the time, he said one thing about Ryan, like, and him serving in ministry alongside of me, he was telling me recently on Friday when we had 116, Ryan had to go to China. He was going to go study abroad. And this was when we were in the building process of our church. And my pastor needed help, like, putting different fixtures in and fixing the floor and all that type of stuff. And he's like, Ryan stayed there till 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, Ryan, go home. Like, you got your fight the next day. He's like, no, I'm not going home, Pastor, until it's done. And he's not like Brandy. Nobody else knows that. Pastor Tim doesn't make that public knowledge, even though I'm saying it now. He doesn't make that public knowledge, but behind the scenes, he sees Ryan's faithfulness. He sees Ryan's dedication. Right. He sees Ryan's servanthood. So when I went to Pastor and told him, like, I know, like, that Ryan is the one, but I was like, he kind of corny, He was like, let me tell you about this man of God. He serves the Lord and he honors me. Like, you don't, like, you can't get any better than that. And being married to him and courting him and seeing it for myself, wasn't lying. Straight facts. No cap. Like, literally. Like, it really is what he said it was. So, yeah. So whatever question y'all got to ask me next. We done.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, you pretty much was segueing into the next thing, which is, so to be clear, y'all, Mrs. Douglas said she was courting like us. So how did that begin? How long was it before you popped the question and became husband and wife?
So we started building just a friendship. Like, we were always friends, but we started like talking and building like a friendship after the fast, and then we started courting in May,
which was like October. So say like in the beginning of October, we started like really talking on the phone more, just building a friendship.
And then so then in May we started courting, and then I proposed on her birthday.
In 2020. So in 2019, we started friendship. To kind of give y'all like dates and timelines, 2019, October, we started beginning our friendship. And in May, we made it official that we would, really start our courtship process. And then July, he proposed. Like, I was just like...
Which to me, it really wasn't that fast to me, because you got to remember, I've basically been sitting on this proposal since February 2019.
Yeah.
So I've been sitting on it for a while. So to me, it wasn't rushed. Like, it's been over a year for me.
Yeah. So what did your courtship look like? What did you have as far as accountability? What did you have for boundaries? What did you two agree on? As far as what the Holy Spirit was guiding you guys for your courtship to look like?
So, I mean, we watched you guys, to be honest, we looked up to y'all, and we also were a part of a ministry called Kingdom Courtship, where they came, because I had never heard about none of that. I didn't know nothing about that. So they came and they really taught us how to do it. So, like, we had a relationship where we allowed people to be in on it. Like, we told them, hey, like here's what we're doing. I went to my pastor and I told him. I even went to my therapist and told him like, here's what I'm thinking about, because he know me too. And I went to my parents and they all gave me the go ahead. And I'm sure she can tell you her part. And then, you know, once we started our courtship, I picked our accountability. I picked, you know, the couple who would hold us accountable throughout the process. And we had 3 different couples. We had our pastors, which was like our vertical accountability. And then we had some elders at our church as well. The Wrights, couldn't do it without them. They were like another level of vertical accountability.
Erica elder.
Yeah, and then we had like a brother named Clarence and his wife Tamika, and they were right there with us like every step of the way, like walking us through the process. So that's how it happened.
Yeah, and I think, you know, again, like you said, Randy, like we don't date, we court. And even in courtship, like the level of accountability is so crucial. I think people skip over there. Oh, I'm not dating, but I'm courting. But courting without accountability,
it's tough.
It's still not really following the lines of what courtship should look like. Only because when you're really trying to do it God's way, you have your flesh, one, and then you always have the enemy putting, you know, oh, this is gonna be my husband already, so if I, you know, touch him a little bit, or I do a little of this or do a little of that, you know, we're gonna get married anyway. But it's like hard. Our level of accountability was just like, no, like you guys are gonna make it to the altar pure, holy, and acceptable before the Lord, okay? Yeah. When you know, get married. So for us, like we said, we always have our pastor and first lady, you know, Shantae, you know, to help us. But like I would say for me, Erica and Elder Wright, they came over a couple times, met us at the park, like had conversations with us. They've been married for 23 years plus. So they would like really pour into us a lot. From like wisdom, been married, like nuggets type of thing. And then we had like people our age. Like Tamika is like my age. Like Ryan is 3 years younger than I am. So Tamika is my age, and I think Clarence, her husband, is a few years older than her because I'm 32, Ryan's 28. So they were like kind of like our level. So we were checking with them like every week almost. Like, hey, this is what's going on. Ryan will text them like, you know, this was time I'm leaving. I'm enjoying house. And I didn't like doing it, but I didn't tell him I didn't like doing it. I'm just being honest. I felt like on the inside, I never vocalized this, but I had like a war. Well, I mean, even Paul says there's a war going on. The things that I don't want to do, I do, and the things that I want to do, I don't do. You know, or Rex Man and I move, saying all that good stuff. So for me, I was like, I really want to do this because my background was such that I had to make sure that before I got married that I didn't have sex. Because for me, it wasn't just it was multiple things. One, I was sexually abused when I was a child, right? So for me, that turned into a sexual addiction. Before her and I got together, I battled that for years, and people don't know that. But I was in therapy and counseling for years. I was going to church on Sundays. I was going to a group for people who struggle with addiction on Mondays. I never thought I'd be in a room of people where it's like, hi, my name is such and such, and this is what I was like. I never thought that would be my life. And at the time, I was just like, I couldn't see no way out. Like, I literally could not believe it. So I was battling that and work. It was a lot going on. And I had that on Mondays. I had another auxiliary group on Tuesdays. I had Bible studies and prayer with my pastor on Wednesdays. I had another thing I was doing on Thursdays. I had prayer with my pastor on Fridays. I had therapy on Saturdays. And then I had church on Sundays. So it was a real addiction. So for me, it was a real struggle. It was a huge struggle. And I want to say this to everybody who is struggling in that area, whether you're addicted to pornography, man or woman or whatever. It is doable. You know, we poured it and it was hard, you know, for us. And I even felt like I had failures. Like I kissed her before we got married, you know what I mean? And I felt like I failed in that moment because I'm like, yo, I really wanted to do it. But I feel like, you know what, ultimately, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to get back up and I'm going to keep running. And we made it to the altar without having sex. And for me, that's why, that's the reason why I would do the accountability thing. Because I know what's on the inside of me and it's not pretty. You know, the Bible says your flesh blows no good thing. So for me, I knew that if I don't, like, what I don't fix in my singleness is going to come out in my togetherness. So before I got married, I wanted to conquer this sex piece because it was a real problem. It was a real problem. And I really wanted to conquer that part of my life. And I'm at a place now where I honestly feel like I have. I'm at a place now where it's like,
for people who used to be addicted to pornography, it's like you hate to be home alone because if you're a believer, you're trying your best to do right, and then it's like I'm home alone. That's a huge temptation for a lot of men. I'm home alone now, and I'm good. I remember the first time I think I really experienced freedom. I went to a conference in Chicago, and I was in a room by myself, and I was like, yo, like I didn't bring nobody back to the room with me. I ain't do this, I ain't do that. Like, Lord, I really am on my path to overcoming this. And now it's like, you know, I got a laptop for a lot of people. Like, some people I know, like, the circle of people that I was in, it was so bad that people were saying, like, I'm not buying a laptop, and I'm not even getting a phone with internet on it because I can't control the urges. And I'm not mad at nobody for that. I've been through it.
Yeah.
Now, it's like, if I take my bathroom and a laptop with me, I'm using the bathroom, and I'm writing my evangelism book. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I really experienced freedom.
Yeah.
So for me, not having sex before he was married, it wasn't just because I was trying to follow a formula. It was like, for me, it was life or death. For me, it's life or death for me. It's life or death for my wife. It's life or death for my son or my daughter. And I don't want them to have a dad that's an addict. You know what I mean? And that's what I was for a time. That's what I was. But, you know, I was chosen. I was rescued. I was saved. I was sanctified. And God did all those things. So that's why I would submit my life to another grown man and let him tell me, yo, it's time for you to go home. And normally I'm like, I'm grown. I ain't trying to do that. But I did. And I didn't like it, but he don't know that. They didn't know that. I acted like I wanted it because it was really life or death for me. So that's how that kind of went.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, like Ryan said, like, you know, it's crazy because you try to look for like the little loopholes. You know,
mean,
when you try to court, you know, oh yeah, let me do this, do that, and all that type of stuff like that. But even because that was something that he dealt with, it was like, for me, sis, you don't have no, like, you cannot. Like, it was like to the point where it's like, if I had like a dress on, he was like, that's your legs changing. Like, because it was that serious, because it was like, for him, it was just like, I said, a life or death. You know, people struggle with their flesh, but addiction, counseling, pastoring, like one-on-one sessions and stuff like that, that's a whole nother level. So,
and I did it for years. It wasn't like a 6 months. It was like 3 years. But before her and I got together, it was like, it was bad. It was bad. I was going through it. I'm sorry to cut you off. And I would have like 2 months I'm good, and then like a week I'm just binging, just having sex, doing whatever I can do. And it'd be like a couple months, and then I fall. And then one time it was so much, it was 11 months. I almost hit a year. And I had another fall. And then from that point until the day we got married, I didn't have sex. So
it's
it's
doable, but like you said, like for death. And for me, God just blesses you in your weight. Like, I'm telling you, the favor that we received from planning our wedding, the people that supported, to actually having a wedding, to going away for our honeymoon, to even coming back, having a place to be able to stay. Like, God blessed tremendously. But even outside of that, for me, like, to just walk, like, it's something when you walk in your marriage clean. Like, it's something when you walk into your marriage with clean hands, like, Lord, you know, I really honored you with my body. Like, I really honored you. Outside of, you know, wanting to just do the right thing, I wanted to really honor you with my body, like the temple that you gave me. Go ahead.
Yeah, and not only that, but like for me, because I had a scarred sexual past, sex was always the thing that was negative for me. I was still doing it as much as I could, but it was never a healthy experience because no matter what, in the past, obviously when I was getting abused, it wasn't good. But on the other side of that, when I was doing whatever I can do in sin, I never, when it was over, felt like, oh, that was good. Like, that's what God intended. Like, it was always like, now I gotta go repent. Now I'm at church. Now pastor preaching, and I'm sitting in the seat like this. Like, it was never a good thing. Yeah. So the first time sex was a good thing for me was my wedding night. I will never forget what she looked like when she came out the room. Bro. And I'll never forget, like, it was actually special. And my first time having a healthy sexual experience was the night that I got married. And I did whatever I wanted to do. And the next morning, I had to repent. I had to wake up, feel bad. I had to do none of that. It was my first healthy sexual experience.
Yeah.
I appreciate that perspective from the both of you, because you two weren't virgins. But it's clearly a reason, because it's a lot of viewers who are still not virgins, but they're fighting that battle. Like, y'all testimony is encouraging even to me, because I always reiterate, shout out to the abstainers, because now that I know what I know,
Period, sis.
Yeah.
I'm not going back. This is all I know. I don't listen. I always said it. I don't know if that would have been my testimony. Where I'm like, yeah, I used to, but then the Lord nodded like I'm still hoeing Monday through Sunday. But no, so no, for real. Y'all strength is encouraging to me, and I'm pretty sure to those who are going through that journey as well. And I guess I'll probably be saying the same thing every night. Like I said last night, that with the Clueless Honeymoon hashtag thing, that originally was a joke for our wedding hashtag.
Right.
It was like we went through like 12 hashtags, and then I just started getting delirious one night, just texting a whole bunch of weird stuff. And he was like, "Oh yeah, Clueless Honeymoon is like the marketing," and I'm like, "No, for real, no. Let's pick a real hashtag." He was like, "No, that's it." I'm like, "This is it." So Clueless Honeymoon was revealed differently to me, because originally it's like, we're both versions.
Y'all
So
really
we're like,
clueless.
yeah, so it's like, it's like visualizing us walking into the hotel with a book that says Sex for Dummies on it or whatever. So, but prior to that, everyone wants to be a good friend or be the sex expert at the time and try to prep you on what you should be doing, what should be shaved, what you want to look like, what you want to try, yada, 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 and how I'm gonna be or how he's gonna be, and clearly there was one picture that was put up how old we were, both virgins, engaged, and like clearly the entire world had their opinion about, oh, it's gonna be awkward, y'all not gonna do it, as if everybody was born expert porn stars, like y'all didn't have an awkward moment either.
Yeah.
However, everything that was told to me, from opinions to assumptions, was never the case for our honeymoon. So they were the clueless ones. Like everybody else was clueless on our honeymoon. And I was like, bah, bah, bah. Like, y'all ain't even have no idea. Like, as you was not supposed to know anyway. Like, it's only us supposed to be in the honeymoon.
Yeah.
But did you guys have any responses for you, or what were other people's thoughts maybe, and then what was your expectation for your honeymoon?
Yeah, hold on for 1 minute. It's something I wanted to because I wanted to comment on something. I like how Ryan said that it was a life or death like experience. Because I remember when I was I don't even know how old I was. I wasn't a grown man, I'll tell you that. I was not a grown man. And I went to church, and my pastor kept saying, run for your life. And then I couldn't really be like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Then it was like the next day, it was like, I don't know, like this week my church had something like, pastor just on fire this week. Like I went for prayer again. He was like, run for your life. And I was dealing with masturbation bad. So I was just like, yo, like, literally, like how I say in my book, like, yo, is this gonna be the nut that take me out? Like, literally, we're red. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I was just like, yo, like, I was like, I'm not doing anything else. Like, I can't relate this to anything. And I'm like, yo, that could have been running for my life, meaning like, yo, like I wasn't gonna be here no longer, or my life going into a different direction into perversion, because perversion spreads.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It has other doors. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just wanted to share that because people when you single, people they think touching yourself is okay. They think vibrators are okay and stuff like that, and stuff that we have to go back and forth with people about, like, yo, like that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that was the case, why would God, have even created Eve? You know what I mean? And and just not just for that, but for other things as well. But go ahead.
And
I
that's
just didn't
why,
want to lose.
and that's why I was pulling up the scripture. The Bible says in 2 Timothy, says to flee from youthful lust, not leave them. Flee means you're fleeing for your life. You're running for your life.
Yeah.
Not because it's not obviously not saying because you're scared or it's foolish. It's because you don't realize the damage that it can do beyond the moment. You know what I mean? Like, so for us, like for our, I guess my cluelessness when it came into the honeymoon phase and the thing is that I would have had to, in a sense, now that I'm married, work for sex from this perspective. When I was sinning and I was in youthful lust, it wasn't no work. Like, I could just call somebody and be like, it could be 10:30 at night, and I'd be like, yo, come over, and this is what we're doing, right? There's no work, no love, no effort, no none of that. I never knew that I had to cater to her emotions. I didn't know nothing about that. And for me, I just felt like, yo, this is a lot of work. And it's not bad. That's what a marriage is. Like, she has to be catered to emotionally. That's what she needs. For me, when I was in sin, I wasn't catering to nobody emotionally. I was doing what I wanted to do, and then I was out. So it built this unrealistic expectation about what sex would be like when I got married, because I never knew how much, and it's not wrong, but I never knew how much women needed and required emotionally to feel loved and all that stuff. I'm like, the only thing you need to feel is saying, well, we about to be but I didn't know, I didn't know that, you know what I mean, that it would take that. So what happened in our marriage was I had to go through a letdown, an unrealistic expectation. I'm like, all right, let's have sex. And she like, well, I'm not feeling it. I'm like, why not? Like, ain't nothing to feel except sex. But to her, she needs to feel stuff emotionally. But when I was in sin with all the people I had sex with, I never had to cater to nobody's emotions. And people wonder why you shouldn't have sex before you're married, because it creates unrealistic expectations of what's going to happen after you get married. It's sex. And I can say the sex before I was married and sex after I was married, though the act is the same, it's completely different. It feels different emotionally. It's completely different. It's completely different. It's good. God has blessed it. But what you have to do in a marriage and what you do when you're in sin are two different things.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy because, you know, people did have, you know, their expectation. They would say, oh, girl, do this or do that and all that type of stuff like that. You know, they did say, you know, try to give us suggestions and whatnot. But like Ryan said, when you just really should wait. Like, just really wait on the Lord, and you should not have sex. Like, you shouldn't, because again, like Ryan said, it builds this unrealistic expectation as to what you're going to do or how you should be. Because even like he said, like, he would just do it. I would do it because somebody wanted me to do it, necessarily not because I wanted to do it. And I felt like once I got married, I didn't have to do that. Because you love me, I should be nurtured. I should be cared for. You should appreciate my body. It shouldn't just be something like, all right, Joann, come on. You like, oh, yeah, what you want? Get in. Like, I'm not, I ain't that in the world. I'm not about to do that. So it's like you start to realize how devalued somebody made you feel in your body, and you don't have to go through that now. So it's like, I felt like I didn't put enough expectations on sex. Like he said, he put it on there, but I didn't put enough because I was like, all right, whatever. But I'm like, God, now that you intended for it to be like, for me to have, you know, who you destined for me to have, and love and sex is a beautiful thing, because again, you know, we learned the courtship. When you out there in the world, you fornicate. This is sex. You have sex in marriage. When you're not married, you fornicating. So fornication on a whole type of
fornication.
You don't even get the emotion. Like when Ryan said, it's really different. It's not even different from the aspect, okay, we're married or we did it God's way, we waited. It's really internally.
It's a big difference.
It's a big difference emotionally what you feel when you connect with that person on the first night, like versus you just like. I feel like when I was doing my thing, whatever, I wasn't nervous. Like you can have that nervousness in the beginning. But the first night I was all nervous, like, oh, what he gonna think? It's like when you don't have the word, when you didn't have it, I don't know if you guys felt that or not, but I feel like some of that is like, because you're so used to somebody judging your body compared to this woman, and this woman got bigger butt, she got bigger breasts, and she can do this, and she can do that, because you done been out there, you done did all that. Whereas if you just know this is the person looking at you for the first time, you don't have that. So I was like, at first I was like nervous. But then I'm just like, no, God, this is beautiful. Like, this is what you want. You want me to be able to enjoy it.
I was never nervous. And I was ready. We didn't waited. We ain't got time to be nervous.
Which is so crazy.
We didn't wait it. Ain't time to be nervous.
Yo, he is so crazy. Now, mind you, I'm hyped, but Ryan is very animated. So, like, when I came out the bathroom, he was like, oh, like he was going, I'm like,
and I'll never forget.
You want to be like this?
And I'll never forget our first time. It was amazing, which is why I tell people you want to have something to look forward to, because a lot of times when you fornicating, you look forward to the high and the rush. And it's like when you're having sex, you look forward to the connection. It's different. So for me, it's like I really had something to look forward to and something I could hold on to for the rest of my life. All the fornication I ever had, I can't hold. The only thing I can hold on to it connected to any of it is pain or regret. Never like a good experience. So people say like, well, why does the Bible say don't have sex before you marry? God is not a killjoy. He's not like this eternal, don't do this because he wants you to be miserable. It's really you don't want to do things that are going to inhibit what you're doing down the road. And people don't see that, you know, like I wish you would have been the only person I ever would have been with. Now I can't go back and change things, but could I? If I could, I absolutely would. Like, why would you want to give a part of yourself away that you can't ever get back?
No. Yeah. And again, like I said, you know, it's fornication, but, you know, the Bible says, like, you know, it's sin against your own body. Like, when you actually have sex, you're sinning against your own body, and why would you want to do that? Like, and it's so crazy because it's like, again, like Ryan said, we listen to Kingdom Courtship. Our pastor and our first lady both had children outside of marriage, and they got married, did it God's way, and they honor God, and you guys are virgins. So we have really great examples, like, to see how to do it God's way, but it's like literally like it's almost kind of like you waste your body on something that, again, like you said, like, you're not gonna be my husband, it's not gonna be long term. Now I go into my marriage with unrealistic expectations of what it's supposed to look like, and it's just like it's unnecessary. And it's just like, again, like I said, I don't know, like, did you guys feel the nervousness outside of, okay, it's gonna be our first time, but I mean nervousness because, well, I don't know, like, because you don't have, like, you guys didn't have anybody else to compare it to. So I feel like, again, like I said, like, you done had sex with other people. So I'm thinking, like, you know, is he gonna like me? And I had the like, am I gonna be good enough for him? Is he gonna be like, you know, this is definitely do you part? Like, great. And my pastor always said, you know, not you dead to me. You know, people like, oh, he dead to me. No. Graveyard dead until he's dead in the grave. That's doing his part. Not that you just dead to me.
And just let me step in real quick, because I know we asked you a question and I wanted to hear, you know, what your guys' experience was like, because we never got to hear it. You know what I'm saying? I want to know. But another thing that I wanted to add was that because we did it God's way, and I know that I married the person that God wanted me to, everything that I was concerned about, am I going to measure up to this and that and the third? And listen to me, guys, everything that you could be concerned about when you have sex with your wife, I was afraid about things only to find out that I was the best sex she would ever have, and vice versa. Right. So all the stuff that I could have been nervous about, only to come together and find out, wow, the one that I'm supposed to be with, we fit like a glove.
It's different when it's your husband. I'm telling you, that's fornication.
No, it's different when it's the one God said be with.
Yeah, God said be with. Like, it literally, like, best.
This is really good.
So yeah, so I mean, for y'all, like, did y'all have that same like level of like nervousness or anything like that?
Yeah,
I wasn't. I was like, so no, like I wasn't. Listen, I was trying to be back in the garden, butt naked, unless, you know, it is what it is. I think for me, I didn't have expectations, because I'm like, yo, we finna be in a discovery zone. I wasn't nervous, but I think the most I looked forward to was just intimacy, because with our boundaries, you know, our first kiss was in front of everybody. So
at the altar.
Yeah, at the altar. So just like I say, like, the honeymoon started the minute we got in the car and nobody was around.
That's when I started.
And we just rolled.
As soon as we drove off, That's when it
Yes.
started. My God.
Yes, driving off alone was like we on a honeymoon because I only hear his voice, and that's all I want to hear right now. Like it was the no boundaries. The walls were down.
No flex zone.
Yeah, I was on my. I ain't gonna lie. When we was in the car in my head, I'm like, man. As soon as I figure out what I'm doing, I'm gonna bust it open. I can't wait to get in this job. Like I was so hyped, but it was just like, yo, we're touching each other, we're looking at each other, our skin to skin. Like it was just the intimacy started emotionally. It was just like, oh my God, like if we don't get to everything we think we're gonna get to tonight, we got the rest of our lives. I get to wake up with this man the next day. So from my expectations, everything was what God wanted it to be. And I was happy with it. I'm just like, listen, I mean, we don't figure it out tonight. We got tomorrow, we got the next day, we got the next day. And I totally relate to you, JoJo, because for us, we need that intimacy. Like, it's our nature as women. We need, I need the lights to be low. I need the TV to be off. I need for me to be, mentally focused on you first, rather than to just be like, face down, booty up type of like.
And that's important.
Out of nowhere.
That's important for a man to hear who hasn't done it the right way from a sex standpoint, because sin, you're not paying attention to none of that. It's
right.
Come on, let's go.
That's good, bro.
And then we done. And for me,
action.
It's not that I was trying to bring that sin mindset into it, but for me, sex has always been, all right, let's go. And then we done all that, all right, I'm out. And I didn't know that she would need all that. And that, to me, emotionally was a problem, because now I feel like I got this work that I got to do. And it almost made me feel like, dang, is it really real if I'm working to do it? And it's not that it's a bad thing, but that's what she needs. So that's why it's important to not create these unrealistic expectations of what you're gonna get when you don't do it the right way. It's like making a bad habit.
You gotta be
you gotta reframe that joint,
how to do things. And it's just like, if you would have known ahead of time or would have waited ahead of time, then it would have been different. And like you said, I love what you said, Brady. Like, even the fact that we went to the hotel by ourselves.
Yeah,
I was just like, I haven't told nobody. Nobody checking. Joanne, you okay? I know you left with Ryan. Like, we went to a wedding before we had got married. And, I'm looking all good. He looking good. And, we dancing, having a good time. And our accountability couple was there. And it was like, yeah, Ryan, drive Joanne off home and go home.
That's what we did.
We was like, what?
That was the big.
He was like, y'all both looking good. Y'all having a good time. Y'all emotions are high. I don't think y'all should even hang out today. I was like,
and again,
what? But we listened because it's almost like, again, like, if you're going to allow somebody to hold you accountable, they're going to see stuff that you don't see. Now, granted, we just think we having a good time, but they could have seen, Ryan, look how he looking at Joanne in her eyes. Look how Joanne looking in my eyes. For them to be like, sit and, go get a snack, because the wedding ended the wedding was real early, so the wedding was over around 3-4 o'clock. So, you could go get something to eat, be together.
Do whatever you want to do.
Do whatever you want to do. You still got the rest of the day. They like, no, we really don't think it's a good idea that you guys spend time with each other. So it's like, to be on the shuttle bus on the way to the hotel, and it's like, I ain't got to check in with nobody.
Yeah.
Like, we were sitting there like, we ain't checking in with nobody. We laying in the bed like.
We wasn't doing all that talking on the way there.
Yo, he crazy. Oh God.
But this after we was married. But no, like, so again, just for people on the because it's the Clueless Honeymoon Conference, for those who are on the other side of marriage, men, how bad do you want it? Because again, you can say, oh, I can do it the way I want to do it. We don't need to do the accountability route. And okay. But again, you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. So, see how that process is working out for you. All I'm saying is, for all the people who did it, it ended up working. You know what I mean? And again, for me, it was detrimental for my marriage, because I wasn't carrying an addiction into my marriage. I wasn't doing that. So one of us had to die, and it wasn't going to be me. So, you know what I'm saying? That's how that went down. So I would say to everybody on that side, listen, do whatever it takes. Like they said in Avengers right before they went and fought the final boss, or whatever it takes. And now
Yeah.
to come on the other side, it's a lot of unlearning that I have to do, and I'm okay with that because again, just like we ain't going nowhere.
We ain't going nowhere.
You know what I mean?
No
But you
Right.
just
Nowhere.
Nowhere. That's
Yeah.
the newest part.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, and just real quick, for me, like just Brandy said it, like it was just the time of just being together. You know what I mean? Because it was like even before the sex happened, like we both had a realization, like yo, like I like yo we like I ain't gotta look over my shoulder.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have to have that feeling where I know I'm dealing with a young lady and the Holy Spirit like yo, you know, like y'all
you
not
gotta
supposed to
calm
be doing
down.
that. You know you're not like y'all not supposed to be doing that. Like why she on your lap? Like come on, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? Like or you know what I mean? Like and it was just like yo, like I'm with my wife. God gave me the like yo, like God Ben
Okay,
gave me the
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, he
God, you know
signed
what I'm
off
saying?
on
God
it.
already blessed it. I'm cool. You know what I mean? So that right there was just a dope experience. Like, and we had so much fun on the honeymoon. Like, it was.
Right.
Look, we was telling y'all. I think we was telling y'all. We was at Perkins. We was at Perkins. Like,
Yeah, we OD'd on purpose.
like that joint. Honestly, it was just like the fact that we just was just alone.
Yeah.
You know, and like we weren't the couple like, oh yeah, we on our honeymoon. Y'all know that
Man.
everybody know that follows us going. Y'all know we went MIA.
Disappeared.
MIA.
You know what I'm saying? Like no, cause
Correct.
like no, we gone.
And but then for those who don't know, he lived in Philly, I lived in Jersey. So then when the whole pandemic thing went, shut the universe down, we was in courtship quarantine. So I'm like, I'm courting on the phone. Like, we even physically wasn't even breathing the same air for a couple of months because stuff got real tight. So it was even more of a separation. Like that was even more that was like an extra bonus boundary. It was just like, we don't even have to struggle with boundaries right now because we're not even in the same state. Like, so it was like crazy. Once like we were like legit like in flesh, like and breathing the same air, it was like, oh my God, like this is honeymoon already, like period. Like just just things that a lot of people take for granted, and then I want to say this because this is so dope because what a lot of people feel like, man, I really appreciate how Ryan really expressed that even though you were experienced physically in sex, emotionally and spiritually, you're still learning in marriage. Like a lot of people just be like, marriage is about
Pastor,
two people
what's up?
just adapting to each other and having sex. And it's like some people feel like they conquered sex. It's like, well, I know everything else. And it's like, no, you don't, because that's not the same person you're going to end up spending your life with. So this is totally different. And like we already reiterated, fornication is totally different from sex.
Oh, two totally
so
different
you got
things.
to learn sex because you never had sex.
Right.
You're out here doing something else. So,
Right.
Two totally different
so who
things.
told this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You got anything else before we close out? Except for the last question we have.
Do we have? I want to make sure that
I did. That's why I'm about to ask the only question they didn't answer.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Thankfully, your detailed responses pretty much like covered several questions altogether, which was really it was really dope.
Wait, I got one more question.
Okay, now he making stuff up.
I'm not.
But it's
I'm
okay.
not.
Whatever.
I'm not making stuff up. I just don't want you guys to go. I'm not going to work tomorrow. We're gonna be on live till
Hey, listen, we ain't got no
7 a.m.
It's a whole shut-in.
So this was a couple years ago, and I'll never forget it. It's right before I did this event called Man's Heart. I had my Sex Con Widow Ball book bag on, made by my sister Cora Lindenberg. Shout out, right? And the dude walking behind me, I was walking to the train. Dude walking behind me, it was raining. I'll never forget this. It was like dark outside, leaving work. And walked to the train, dude walked behind me. He He said, that's a powerful message on your book bag. So I had slowed down. So me and him, we started talking. This dude, he was like some minister that goes to like Christian Compassion Church. And me and him, we started talking about marriage and stuff like that. I told him my testimony, and we was on a train, and we were talking about marriage. And he said, I've been married like 30 something years. And he said, if you ask me, I would do it all over again, and I'll marry the same woman. And it was this lady on a train that was listening to our conversation, and she just started clapping her hands. It was like, I know that's right, right? It was like a whole movie. Bro, I'm 29. That was the only man I heard that say that. All the other men will always joke about marriage. Men always joke about marriage in a bad way.
Yeah.
They, and it becomes like, wait, why y'all always joking about it? My homie, he said, yo, it be truth to a lot of people's jokes. And I'm like, a lot of men come from a hurt place, and they discourage other men that want to be married. Even the dude at my job, I told him I was married. So he was like, oh, and because he was divorced.
Yo, before I got
You know what I'm
married,
saying?
every man on my job told me don't get married. Most of them was divorced. She changed after you put a ring on her finger. Don't do it. Worst decision ever. And I work in sales. I would meet clients and they would be like, man, I'll pay you not to do it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Which is so crazy because, like Jeremiah, like you said, like that was the first person that you heard say it. But our pastor says it. Like he's very transparent from the pulpit, sharing his testimony with his wife. And one of the things that he always, tells me and Ryan, even in our disagreements, even when we feel like, again, because when you get married, again, you're learning the person.
Yeah.
And when we were sharing, like, oh, you feel like, oh, we argue or we screamed or we yelled or we did this and this and that. He like, you'll be fine. I'm looking at him like, what?
Yo, that's his favorite.
And he's like, you'll be fine.
That's his favorite John. I'll be like, yo, like, it don't matter. I'm telling you. Ask any one of his sons, yo, you come to him with the worst thing, he'd be like, yeah, he'd be fine.
And he says that because he's like, he said the same thing the guy said, literally verbatim. He was like, we've dealt with stuff in our marriage, but if I had to do it all over again, I would still marry the same person. And one of the things that he talks about, like, he usually tries to do a video, every time they have an anniversary, and the anniversary just passed a couple of days ago, they weren't able to do it. But one of the things that he always says is they're like, they're purpose partners. You know what I mean? Like, they were married on purpose. So it's like, when you realize, like, again, we always quote Pastor Salim, like, if Jesus is the goal, God knew you from your end, from your beginning. He knew what your life would look like before you even knew you was in your mother's womb. Then clearly he knows who you need to marry. And if he told you that it was okay for you to marry this person, then whatever you encounter in the marriage, he already knew that was going to happen. That doesn't change the goal. You get what I'm saying? Like,
right.
If your goal is to get a bachelor's degree, but you got a hard calculus class, you got all these different things going on. The goal is the degree. Get a tutor. Find ways. Again, we go to the counseling. We talk to our pastor. We talk to our first lady. We talk to our elders. We reach out to our friends that have been married. Like, if marriage and longevity is the goal, then it's no quit.
And I wanna say some things. And Sierra has a question. She said, "Do y'all believe in therapy?" So I'll touch on that. But I would say yes. I'm I'm an advocate of therapy. But to touch on what you're saying, Jeremiah, about the people, the men who are negative about marriage. I don't come from that. You know what I'm saying? I've experienced it. I told you when I was getting my new job, the job that I'm on now, all the men don't do it, da 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 da. But shout out to my father. My dad been married to my mom 37 years. They met 6 months later. They got married, and they've been married 37 years. And my grandfather and my grandmother, they were married for 49 years, right before he passed away. So I come from successful marriages is what I come from. So in my mind, I was always going to do it. And I guess, to kind of continue with the Clueless honeymoon, what I'm learning that people say when they say don't get married, this is that and the third, you're not going to like it, is that marriage is meant to make you more like God. And I didn't know that before I got married. I thought marriage was so I could get some things in. That's what I thought. That's what I thought it was for. I thought it was so I could me. And when I got married and reality set in, when she started doing things I didn't like, and when I started doing things that she didn't like, I remember God would say, "You're supposed to love your wife like I love the church." And I thought about it and I was like, wow, I'm the church and I do God wrong sometimes. And I said that she be doing me wrong, but we do stuff that each other don't like at times. Yeah. And it hurts. And it's not always easy. So for us, what I'm learning is, you know, the people I think who say that are the people who do marriage without a God concept. You can't really do marriage without God's principles. And there's plenty of people who I know who are probably not Christians who are married. But when I say if your marriage is going to work, then you have to use God's principles. Whether you believe there's a God or not, you have to love. You have to be able to be quiet at times. You have to die to what you want. All those are God's principles. So I think the people who are doing it are people who try to do marriage without God's principles, and they don't know about dying to themselves. They don't know about keeping their mouth shut, even when they feel like they're right. They don't know that love is patient, love is kind, love bears no records of wrong, love always trusts, love never fails. They don't know those things. So I think it's a lot of men who went into it, who tried to do it, and they try to do it without God, and you can't go into God's institution without God.
Right.
So
that's good.
Yeah, I heard plenty of people say it never fazed me. I was just like, that's y'all. My dad been married 37 years, and if my mom and dad can do it, anybody can do it. And my grandparents was married for 49 years, so I'm a Douglas. That's what, like, we ain't going nowhere.
Let's go.
That's good because they they are generations that already had set that tone. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're generations that set that tone, and I would believe that they are still in love with each other because I know some people probably think like, well, you know, they probably just existing. Like, no, there are couples out here that really are still really in love with each other. You know what I'm saying?
And that goes back to, and my pastor said, wrong motives produce wrong outcomes. So to go with your point, man of God, so people are existing because people got into marriage with an unrealistic expectation. My wife is going to be perfect. She's going to look like the woman on the screen, the model who got her makeup done before I saw her, and her body is plastic. You know what I'm saying? Or my husband is going to be perfect. He's going to be all of this. He's going to be 6'5", super cut, 6-pack, make 6 figures a year, drive like unrealistic expectations. So then when you get into marriage, and this is another thing that I learned after being married, and granted, we only married 3 months, but like real love only kind of really happens, not even necessarily with sex, but it only really happens when I gotta forgive. Like, it only really happens when you make me upset. That's the only time real love happens. Like, outside of that, it's kind of just
that's good, bro.
Like, it's never really love until she makes me upset or I make her upset, and then we have to come back 10 minutes later and say, hey, like my pastor said, we're on the same team. I'm humble enough. Here's what I did wrong, and I apologize. Here's what I know you did wrong. And to let there be things that are happening that maybe you still don't like that hurt, but it's like, I'm committed to loving you even through that. So that's like, that's the only time that it really works. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have that concept, if you don't have that biblical worldview, then it's going to be hard for you to do this.
And like you said, unrealistic expectations going into the marriage. Like, for me, honestly, when we took our assessment, mine said romantic. You know, granted, for me, I'm like, oh, I'm a little romantic. I ain't like that, whatever the case may be.
Very romantic.
But honestly, I really thought we were going to get married, walk into the sunset, like, it was going to be nice, it was going to be this, it was going to be that. And then I really realized that being married is the most selfless thing that you can do. It is the most selfless thing that you can do because you always are preferring someone over yourself and learning how, again, like I said, my parents just talked about recently about being a teammate and learning your person. And you really have to, even when you get upset, I realize, like, by the initial thing that someone does or towards when you feel like it's being done towards you, I've been realizing these last couple of days, kind of playing in my mind what he's been saying, and you know, the conversation we talked to him about on Sunday, and really understanding the fact that, like, Joann, what is really going on with you for you to respond the way that you respond? What's really going on? What are you really feeling? Because you know, a lot of times, you ever like step on somebody's toe and they're screaming, they're loud, and you run in the room, you're like, why are you screaming? But they're screaming because they're hurt. They're not screaming for any other reason, but they're hurt. So I'm like, why are you screaming? What's the real reason? Are you hurt? Like, what is the hurt coming from? And is it really coming from Ryan, or is it coming from something that triggered you that he did? Like, what is it really coming from? And deal with that. So it's like, I'm really learning, like, again, one of the things our parents talk about is being a team, being a person, being a perfect teammate is like learning your person. New person come on the team or come on the job, you teaching them how the system works. Oh, this is how the system works. This is how you should apply this. Oh, here's a workaround for this, or how you do this. And it's like, I think I just went into the marriage like, oh, I don't know everything about Ryan. I learned everything I know about him in courtship. I know her from front to back. And not realizing, like, no, sis, like, you really want to have to learn how he does things, and that everything that he does is not personal. Like, my husband is an avid reader, and he loves to study. So sometimes I'll be like, you really want to be studying for 3 hours? And I'm sitting out here, looking all good, watching this TV, waiting for you. I done cooked you some dinner, like, the house all clean, the candles lit, we got air on, like, what's up? What's going on? And it's like, no, like, man, I just got caught up in what I was doing. Like, because you know something like, something wrong with me? Is he upset? Did I say something wrong? It's like, no, like, you gotta learn your teammate. You gotta learn how the person is so that you can better teammate that person. So that's kind of like where we're at, like right now in our journey.
Yeah, and you said,
marriage.
yeah, and you said like people just existing. You just existing because you're just not doing it God's way. That's why you're not thriving, because you don't listen. For everybody who wants to be married, and I'm not talking like I'm expert, because I was just not married a couple months ago. But don't try to get into this if your relationship with the Lord not solid, because it's gonna make you be a disciple. You come over here, this is discipleship. This ain't like high school. This ain't undergrad. This is doctorate level discipleship, because everything that you've been taught all your years in school and Christian school, which is loving your neighbor as yourself, learning how to forgive, learning how to esteem others over yourself, all that's what you're gonna get over here. So that's what I'm saying. Like you're not gonna be thriving. You're going to be surviving, not thriving in a marriage if your relationship with the Lord not on point. Because if your relationship with the Lord not on point and your spouse makes you mad, you're not going to be able to say, you know what, let me put this to the side. Let me pray about it. If you're not praying already, you're not about to start praying when you got married. And that's what my pastor said. That's why I started praying, because I wanted to be married. Right. And he was like, if you don't pray now, you're not going to pray when you get married. So for me, if when I'm not praying, I recognize I'm not treating her the same. I'm not thinking about her the same. I'm not even looking at her the same when I'm not praying, when I'm not spiritually filled up. Yeah. So if you want to come on this side, you have to know how to really have a relationship with the Lord, and like a real one, not one of them fake Jones that you can get on Sunday morning when you shout when you pass out. Like a real official stamp, like with the blood, like I know Jesus relationship.
So it's crazy because right before you get to the last question or whatever, because you know, me and Ryan, we can talk. You see, like he's a teacher, I can talk. But one of the things that he was saying that was so good is that God is saving you. If you are single right now and you desire to be married and you want to go through the courting process, you want to do it God's way, that's a wonderful thing. But God is saving you if he hasn't given you a person, because again, like Ryan said, if your relationship with the Lord is not on point, getting on this side, it's going to test everything you know. It literally is. It's going to test you, like he said, like how to forgive. It's going to test you to love in spite of. When I feel like, oh, he did something or said something right, I really had to make my mind like, are you going to love because you feel like it, or are you going to love because God commanded you to? Which one we choosing today? You really going to have to make daily decisions on how to honor God and honor yourself every single day. And I feel like, again, like you said, if you don't have a prayer life and you don't know God for yourself, you will really be like those people existing, those people complaining, oh God, did I do this, or this is wrong, and the person is always the person. But when you really have a relationship with the Lord, and one of the things that's so funny, Erica, she goes to our church, and she's the couple that I told you that's been married for 23 years, and if I talk to her and call her about anything concerning Ryan, she just like, that's out. What's up with you? I'm like, well, then she's like, no, because again, God, when you stand before our holy God, he's going to ask you, what do you do with the things that I placed inside your hand? And how did you handle these couples? He's not going to ask you about Ryan. So I ain't asking you about Ryan. I'm asking you about you. How did you respond? How did you do things? And I really think that this goes back to your relationship with God. Like, if that is really on point, And granted, we constantly growing, so we're not asking for saying they gotta be perfected. But I think God saves the single. Like if you're single and you're not with anybody and you're seeking the Lord and you're trusting the Lord, God is still maturing you and developing things in you. And like your time will come when the God sees fit for you to have somebody. Like people want to know the secret recipe to getting the husband or getting the person. The secret recipe is loving the Lord with all thy heart, with all thy might, with all thy strength.
My God,
that's the secret recipe to getting a husband. When you focus directly on the Lord and loving Him with everything in you, He'll send you somebody that's easy. Because you're not going to put that person before Him.
Because you can't do it without that, anyways. And that's the thing that we've learned. You can't even do this without that. Like it don't even work. Like you can't drive a car if you ain't got no gas.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, y'all. We love y'all.
This was excellent. You want to ask the last question?
Yes. So I'm gonna tell you once you give me the answer, I'm gonna tell you why I'm asking, because some people gonna be like, why are you asking this question? Like they've been married for what, 3 months?
Months, yeah.
Okay. So the question is, are you still on the honeymoon?
What you think?
I would say yeah.
You would say yeah?
I would say yeah. Because again, it's so crazy because I want to look on my phone about definition of honeymoon. I don't know what people like.
Yeah, how do you define honeymoon?
I feel like when you say like, again, like this conference is Clueless Honeymoon. I feel like, again, because we've never been married before and we're going into this, it's still that part of discovery that you're learning. So it's like you're discovering so many different things about your person every day, and you're learning so much about. I feel like you think you know yourself, sis. You get married. Like you get married, you learn so many different things about yourself. Like you're learning. Granted, you know book definition, love language, right? But really learning how you display it and how you want to receive it and what that looks like. So,
he gonna say, of course you are. I see how you look at each other. No, so for me,
yeah, we still
you gotta define honeymoon, because for me, the honeymoon phase is like where you just like it's all emotional. Like I feel like we never had blinders. I feel like because we courted, I never was dealing with somebody who wasn't really that person. Like she was making me mad when we was courted, and I was doing the same thing. So it was never a period where we wasn't like all 100% perfect. Like I always saw the real her. She always saw the real me. So I don't know, and I don't ever want to say that I'm out of the honeymoon phase. Like I don't know if I ever want to say like, oh, she just whatever. But I don't ever want it to get to that point where it's like, oh, well, that's just like. So I don't like define honeymoon phase.
I think he's thinking of honeymoon as being like this bliss in your head is in the clouds and you see no wrong, you see no evil.
But see that
honeymoon is really
if that's what you mean, we was never in a honeymoon phase because we always.
Oh yeah, nah. Thankfully last night it was a different perspective brought up.
Oh yeah.
For why Tyler didn't feel like they were in the honeymoon stage, because his perspective of honeymoon was like non-realistic.
Then that's what I'm saying.
Like you said, being in a fantasy world, but then he ended it. He ended it with agreeing with his wife, because his wife said yeah, and he was like no. Y'all know Tyler was all deep and everything with it, so he broke it all down, and it made a whole lot of sense. Because at first it was a little awkward, because I was like, oh man, he didn't say it no, and she over here talking about something. Yeah, all right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Shut it down. It's getting awkward, but it was realistic. He had a realistic perspective about it. So now I can tell you why I asked that question, because Jeremiah and I had encountered someone's husband who wanted to just like pretty much throw up on us about him being a newlywed. They got married maybe a few months. They got married within that same year that we did. So, he had a lot of things that he was, I guess he thought to share some tokens and some nuggets. But to me, I think that man need to probably call your therapist or somebody and lay on the couch and talk about it, because he had some heavy stuff. And one of his issues was like, he was like, man, that honeymoon phase ended after 2 months. Like when people talk about they still on their honeymoon, they lying. Man, that's over in 2 months. So I'm like, well, I don't really know what your expectations on honeymoon was. But, and then on the other hand, there was a couple I know was married for 50 years. This man literally with genuine love said to his wife, we are still on our honeymoon. So I feel like everyone has a different perspective. My perspective is I feel like honeymoon should still look like not only are y'all married for this many years and you love each other, but y'all still like each other.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, so you know, and then everyone, because marriages are different, y'all may have certain things where if it stops, then it's like, oh, this is not the honeymoon stage no more. Versus like if something, you know, we used to do something and it's not happening anymore, then it's like, oh, maybe our honeymoon's over. But that's why I ask all the different couples. Like,
okay, I'm
perspective.
so glad that you said that. I'm so glad that you said that because I have been saying this for years. So you and the spirit woman of God. I have been saying that I wanted a marriage like my mom and my dad because my mom and dad have been married 37 years and my mom and dad still like each other. Not just like in love, they still like each other. So like we talk on the phone all night and because we couldn't see each other, but we was definitely on the phone all night. We was talking.
Yeah.
We was talking. Like, we don't do that anymore. And you know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily like that. But, like, and even when we get on each other's nerves, like, if she's getting on my nerves in the other room, I want her to get on my nerves, like, over here. Like, don't get on my nerves in the other room. Like, get on my nerves next to me. You know what I'm saying? So I guess from that perspective, yeah.
And it's crazy because, like, for me, the perspective of being on a honeymoon is, again, like he said, we used to talk a lot on the phone all night or whatever the case may be. But recently, like, because we just got our couch pretty cool, okay? Listen,
hey,
we had our
furniture,
TV, we had our couch for a little minute, right? We was on the floor. But, like, we would put out our blanket, we would have our pillow from the bed, put it off, and it's like, I'm literally able to binge watch TV, popping, like, under the ear, like, laughing and joking with my best friend. So it's like, those moments to me makes me feel like I'm still on the honeymoon because I'm like, you know, like he said, yeah, you okay? We get over it. But it's like, I be having so much fun with my best friend. Like, oh, we going to the mall together. Like I said, you don't have to clock in or check in. So it's like, we're going to the mall together. Or we going to be together all night. Listen, let's run a Wawa. You want a hoagie? Yeah, I want a hoagie. Give me a strawberry banana smoothie. You already know I want some almonds. And I want some sour cream or ancient. Like, get my snacks ready because we about to watch the show. We about to get it popping. And I don't have to rush to get home. So, you know, for me, it's like those little things. It still makes you feel like, I don't want to say like kiddish, but you kind of feel like for instance, and granted, I don't know if it's TMI, but I'm going to say it anyway, right? So, like, you know, of course, then we able to have sex. So, sometimes I'm like, right, you going to chase me? He be like, yeah. I'm like, all right. Like, 10 years in the other room, like, to me, I still feel like granted, like, we're grown and all that. But, like, no, chase me. Like, fine, like, we ain't get a chance to do this now. Listen, I'm going to run real slow. Go chasing after you.
But you know what? It's fun because what I know we have in common is that our relationships, we had an opportunity to be friends first, like legit friends. So for us, I know that makes marriage so freaking fun. Cause like, you know what I told y'all, like the first time I'm like, yo, this gonna be the best sleepover for freaking ever. I get to have the best sleepovers with my best friend. And like y'all said, like it's, you know, it doesn't always have to be the candles lit or whatever. We can binge on all the Transformer movies, have all the junk food, be in sweatpants, whatever. Like, it ain't always got to be the lace. It ain't always got, I mean, but you know, we got that over in the top anyway. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? But when we want to chill, we can be homies. Like, there's no pressure. There's no, you know, it is what it is. And the freedom and friendship is like a whole nother level in marriage. Like,
top notch. Like, you just have you have so much freedom. Like, you're able to take naps. Like, so again, when I think about like the honeymoon, it's just things that you're so excited about that you weren't able to do before and that you get to do. Like I told you, just spending long periods of time with Ryan. All day with Ryan. Now I had to be interrupted. Like we be taking naps in the bed in the middle of the day, or like you said, like you're able to look around, looking at him like, yo, we married? Like, yo, like give me a hug. Like, you know, you be joking, like you don't be serious. Like yeah, squeeze. Like this my man. Like you can grab him when we squeeze on each other. Like, let's go. Like this is like my best friend. Like I don't have to like hide, or I can be all hype, or you know, we love like joking at church and stuff like that when we with our friends. I'm like, all right, guys, bye. About to leave, go my husband. And we tiptoeing away, walking and all that. And they like, Joann, like, you're hype. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah. Like, I finally get to do that.
Be hype. Be hype.
So apparently we are still on our honeymoon, but I guess the new goal is to live in your honeymoon. Like, I don't never want to get to a point, if the definition is we still like being around each other, I never want to be off the honeymoon. Like, I don't ever want to be in a situation where it's like, you know? So that's what we're working towards.
Yeah, we're gonna be on that train with y'all too.
And also because we'll get together and do some men's thing or whatever. And it's a lot of things that we. First of all, hold on. First of all, he's talking about, bro. Let me tell you this. I know now. Look, I know the men's ministry popping at y'all church. Yeah. I know the men's ministry popping at y'all church, but it's 1,000 other churches. Men's ministry, nobody be there. And the women's ministry always popping.
Oh, nah.
You know what I'm saying?
They save lives at Man Cove. I don't know what they be doing.
Right.
We save lives at Man
Cove. Y'all need it. Go ahead.
Look. They be like, Jeremiah, where all the men at? I be like, look, they at B&E. Like, oh. Like, what you mean? I don't know what they at. Like, yeah, so y'all, this was
dope. I knew this was
Thanks for having us. And I said it yesterday, but again, when we was talking to Jeremiah on the phone, we were just asking him, like, you know, what today was gonna look like. It's like, you know, you have opportunities where you're able to share on your job, and you're able to share, you know, with our peers or people that go to our church, and they're familiar with me and Ryan's testimony. But we really do think, you know, sex can wait a while. We thank you, you know, Brandon, Jeremiah for giving us the platform, because again, like I said, you know, you can share it amongst, you know, who you see every day, but to be like on live to share our testimony of what it looks like when you had sex already and you're doing it God's way, and even when you're doing it God's way, you still get some hiccups in the road, but that doesn't stop you from still pursuing the goal, and that's the longevity of marriage, is to really, you know, be purpose partners. And again, the idea, I feel like for marriage is to really fulfill God's purpose in the earth. And God, for whatever reason, he feels like you're best able to fulfill the purpose he has in this earth with your person.
Yeah, it's definitely a good feeling to know that you couldn't have done better.
Right. So I just thank y'all, because again, like, we shared a lot. You guys have shared our testimony. Y'all know we love y'all, whatever the case may be. Like I told you, I feel like we've been on tour recently, but just to be like having time where we're able to sit down, woosah, and I feel like just even today was like a reflecting moment of where we're at, bringing about truth, bringing about clarity, what the next 3 months is going to look like, what our next year is going to look like, and really like, okay, like, no, babe, we are still in the honeymoon. He done made some good dinner tonight, so we about to eat. I don't care if it's late or not, like, we about to eat, we about to relax, so it's like, you know, we're still in our honeymoon phase. Like, we're still going to be in the honeymoon once we get off the line. So thank you both for just giving us this opportunity to share our journey.
Love y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Like, y'all, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, founder of Sex Can Wait a While, but y'all are the kingdom builders of Sex Can Wait a While, because we can only give one story and one perspective. And for your transparency and just your relationship with God individually and together, like, y'all blessing us. Yeah. Y'all blessing us, and everyone else who has that, it's a different walk. And that's why I thank God for him giving us an opportunity to find jewels and marriages like y'all too, and others that are able to just come to the front line, like, hey, you know, this how we did it. This what God did with us. This what God did with us, because it's different.
Yeah.
It's different. So it doesn't have to look like you got to walk smooth out and just be virgins. Like virgins is only like 5% of what holiness of a lifestyle is supposed to be like anyway.
Yeah.
And somebody said, are there more sessions this week? And the answer is yes. There's one tomorrow, one Thursday, and one Friday, right?
Not tomorrow. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
tune
yeah.
in.
So
Don't
it's
miss
only
it.
been night 2.
Yeah, yeah.
This only been night 2. It's getting crazier and crazier. Every couple is coming through with some more spiritual grenades, blowing stuff to pieces, leaving folks laid out. Like, I mean, everything has been like amazing, and it's only been 2. Like, imagine if we was doing this like in a building together. Like, it'd be
That'd
bananas.
probably be
Like,
lit. They would have to.
Yeah.
We would have to pay for like
It's coming
extra
one day.
time or close
I
the
hear
door or
God.
something.
Prophesy. It's coming one day. I hear God.
No, look,
it's
look.
coming. It's coming.
No, trust me. Trust me. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know Seskin Widow Wild started with physical events.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you know, when the pandemic hit, we had to, you know, it was that was my first time going live. For real, on Instagram. Yeah. And that was I've been live before, but nothing like this though.
Like this.
March was crazy. March 2020 was crazy and a game changer for the ministry.
Yeah. Okay. So we always want to have an opportunity after any segment of whatever we're doing to let God just share his love and invitation of salvation for anyone, because that's where it starts. You know, these are the perks of giving your life, but we really want to encourage your first marriage to be with the Lord. So for anyone who is on here who may be seeking, you know, direction or, you know, looking for love, the first love you want is with Christ. And the way of doing that is just completely submitting yourself and believing that no matter what you did today, it could have been an hour ago, you're still worth God's time. He created you. You're worth everything to him. You're worth jewels. Whatever you think you did with your body, what you did to your body, what you plan on doing, let it be known that tonight, if you truly believe that Christ died for your sins, that the blood that he shed on Calvary was for you, you are able to start a journey tonight. Your marriage and your wedding ceremony is tonight. If you just say yes to God, if you confess your sins and you believe God, whatever I did, you forgave me through your bloodshed. I'm sorry. I need you to help me. I need you to be in front of me. I need you to be behind me. I need you to be on both sides, God. I need you from now on to be the voice of my heart and the voice of my mind. And I need for my flesh to be in the background. God, thank you. Thank you for thinking enough. Thank you for thinking enough that I might give my life over to you, that you still took a chance and you died for people who may not even think to submit. But tonight is a night that I have an opportunity and I'm going to take it. And I thank you, God. And we celebrate whoever made that decision tonight, even if it's one person on this viewing, that the heavens are now recording that you gave your life over. We congratulate you. We are happy for you. We are praying for you. And if you need any type of accountability, if you need any prayer, any guidance, you can inbox me or Jeremiah. We will help you. We will get through this, because this is a platform for the kingdom. This is not just relationships. This is not just for marriage. This is for soul saving first and foremost. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
That's my heart.
Amen.
Yeah.
So for whoever was in agreement, congratulations. We at the reception of the wedding. Boots, 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 boots. But I'm probably like sleep in 2 minutes. So save me some cake because I gotta go to work.
All right, we love y'all.
Love y'all. Bye.
All right, y'all. Hey, y'all. Ryan, I'm about to call you back on video call.
All right.
I'm about to call you real back. I'm gonna call you right back.
Love y'all.
All right.
Everybody.
I see y'all soon.
Yeah.
Yo, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. We off tomorrow night. So Thursday night, you guys don't want to miss. We got the Bushes coming. It's gonna be crazy. Yeah, tune in. It's about to be crazy. All right, y'all. Love y'all. I'll see y'all
Bye.
later.
Everybody.
All right.